Nate G 219 to help it back and better. Another episode coming at you. First, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that channel if you want to help out. Today is January 3rd, 2025. That's right, about 9:30 in the morning. But again, that's the irrelevance for today. Just a little bit. There's always some irrelevance. There's got to be to keep y'all entertained a little bit. But we're getting back into the Michael Thompsons' daughter's reaction. Michael Thompsons' Daughter Tells all. The most hated Aryan brother that ever was. The most hated, as far as I could see. We left off where she was talking about finding out her mother had passed away. And her reaction wasn't my reaction for when my mother passed away. Couldn't imagine feeling or not feeling anything. The feeling of nothing, that's crazy. But there's about a minute layover to just remind you what we got into, and me saying I couldn't imagine feeling this way.
And I have no feelings for that woman, and I do mean none. The day that the day that I learned that she died, they waited for me to get there, and they pulled her out in a cardboard box, and I touched her thigh just to make sure that the bitch was gone. And that was it. I didn't shed one damn tear over that woman. I don't miss her. And a lot of people say, well, how could you feel that way about your mother? Well, I'll tell you what. When you have a knife put to your throat, or you have a vase broken over your head, or when from the time that you're, say, 5 years old to the time that you're 12, and you're told that if you don't behave, you're going to juvenile hall, or a lot of the things that she's done, just...
Do you have...
Now, I can't relate to that. My mother was the most loving, caring, wonderful person on the face of the earth, if you ask me. And if you ask many others. She was the most kind woman around. And never did I have any abuse, physical, mental, emotional, or sexual abuse. None of that from my own family. The sex abuse came from a doctor. Unfortunately, it wasn't noticed, and back in the 80s, just things were different back then. We weren't able to talk about things like that. We thought the worst of ourselves. There wasn't social media to tell us, it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to be angry. So, let's get back into it, though.
Gratitude for either your mom or Michael for who you are today as a person?
Yes, actually I do. Because if it weren't for them being as messed up as they are, I wouldn't probably be who I am today. They were the perfect example of who not to be. The perfect example. So, many, many people, like we talked about this, have problems. We all have problems.
Of course.
We all have issues. We all have our reasons for doing the things that we do. But I don't believe things happen for a reason. They happen in their own time. That doesn't mean that's destiny. It's just how the universe works. So when you're kicked in the nuts, you're hit over the head, or something's happening to you, don't sit there and try to figure out the why behind it, because you're wasting your time. You may never get that answer.
So I can't wholeheartedly agree with that. I do believe everything does happen for a reason. For instance, when I was arrested for my drug dealing case, they told me I was looking at between 6 and 110 years for a $20 bag of dope. I middleman a drug deal, and I ended up serving just about 4 years on that case. The 6 to 110 is if they had enhanced everything with gang enhancements, habitual offender enhancements, and all that stuff that they were threatening to do. I knew that they honestly couldn't do that. It was just a threat. Not thinking that I knew more about the law than I did. I mean, I knew a little bit about the law. I wasn't a lawyer, but I knew what they could and couldn't do. So those empty threats didn't scare me. They didn't persuade me into going and telling on people. Honestly, I wasn't even questioned about, hey, where did this come from? The cops followed me from one county to another county to pick up the drugs. They followed me back. They arrested me on a different case, an OWI, which in fact I beat. It was written off. I beat the case, but I did catch a B felony that night. I just didn't know about it for another 8 months. It was 8 months later they came in and arrested me at my own home, on my parents' house, and, that started my journey into prison. But my journey into prison, I think, was a plan from somebody way up above, way a higher power than anybody could ever imagine. I believe it was God's way of giving me a timeout. If you don't go and see this, you're going to die out here on these streets. You're going to die doing what you're doing. Whether it be from a drug overdose, whether it be a drug deal gone bad, anything. Anything could have taken me at any time out there. But, that's just my take on it. To each their own. Everybody's got their own take on life and afterlife, what's going to happen. And for me, I do believe in a much higher power. Exactly what that is, I don't know. We'll soon find out. I'm not saying tomorrow or anything like that. I'm not posing any threats like that, but life is short, guys. Enjoy it while you're here. Let's get back into this.
Get your ass up and you start walking, and you need to do what you need to do. Put ice on it. Do something. Don't sit there and feel sorry for yourself, because where's that going to get you? And I've never felt sorry for myself. We talked about my husband and my stepson having cancer, losing my dog, and then Michael finding out he's released in this podcast and then rearrested.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I'm not depressed. I'm not sad. I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't feel that way. And maybe that's where my strength comes in at,
Well, we also talked about it as well. I'm sure there are times where you're weak and you cry and
absolutely.
You do these, right? And
Absolutely.
then you've also done therapy outside, and you take steps to make sure that your wellness is okay, so that you can be that woman and for the family and show up in the way that you know that you can.
Yeah.
And there's maintenance that goes along with it is my point.
Yes,
and for everybody in that thing, we all suffer. Some people suffer with quieter issues. Some people have louder issues. But
sure. I mean,
the human condition is that we.
Yeah. Hell yeah, I'm back in psychotherapy, and I'm proud to say it, because guess what? I'm going through one of the hardest times in my life. I interrupted you, but you're right. Okay. And I gotta have some sort of an outlet, and I want that outlet to be a positive outlet, not a negative one. Oh sure. I could say.
I do got to admit, the courage this woman has is unbelievable. The heart that she has to come out and tell her take on her own father, her own sperm donor, is what we're going to call him, because she despises the man. She called him on all his BS. Well, at least all that she knows of. And she tells it how she feels it. And with such a traumatic childhood and upbringing, I can understand why her thoughts are different than others. I can definitely understand why her thoughts are different.
I just want to go get high and stay high. I don't want to deal with this, and that's not what I'm about. That's not how I got this far in life to do something like that. So, and I owe it to myself and to my family to take care of myself. So, You know, you do what you have to do. And I'm not begrudging or belittling anyone who has problems, because I've had many people, even therapists, tell me I should write a book, because my story is that inspiring, that what I've been through and how I've survived the things that I have survived.
I do agree. Ma'am, you should write a book. You got one hell of a story.
Like living on the streets. And like I told you guys earlier, at that time, it didn't hit me, it didn't compute that just how much danger I was really in.
Sure.
And so, but you know, I told you also, like, I'm going back to that. I believe that your children are either your greatest accomplishments or your biggest failure.
And you think that you're Michael, then back to what you said at the beginning, you said it multiple times, and you told them to the camera that...
Okay. Your children are either your biggest success or your biggest failure. That kind of hit home to me. It kind of hurts, because I put my parents through hell. And unfortunately, my mother's not here to see the accomplishments I've made. 10 years ago, I was sitting in a prison cell. I was sitting in Michigan City prison, Indiana State Prison, cell 205 in D Cell House, D West, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, D West. 10 years ago today, that's where I was. And unfortunately, that's one of the last memories I have with my mother, is going through those tough times. But I am grateful to say I did have my mother there. But all of that, it happened for a reason in my head. That's the only way I get through it. Unfortunately, I lost my mother 90 days to the day after I came home. I came home September 28th, December 28th. My mother passed away in my arms. And as you know the date, I mean, it was 6 days ago was her anniversary of the last time I spoke to my mother. So let's get back into this.
He blew it. You believe because of everything you have accomplished, everything you've been through, tying it back into that, is right. You are his greatest accomplishment. Yes, that's another part of why he blew it. Mm-hmm. And he knew that for some point in time. He's known your, right there in his words. He's known your story.
How strong I am, and how I'm this, and how I'm that. How proud he is. The blood memory. Right. Yeah. His blood runs through me.
Yeah, no, I read that.
Why aren't you touting that, man?
Touting what?
Why aren't you touting that?
Yeah.
Why aren't you saying, hey, look at my daughter. Look at her.
And that's what I want to try to figure out. I don't know why he wouldn't. And for many years you were sold on it was for your safety. But then
I see him touting his ass all over the internet, and his wife too, and I'm like, what the hell?
So it's not for your safety.
No.
And so that goes back to what you originally said earlier, is it doesn't fit his narrative of redemption, because you know you can pull the card on him and be like, actually I know this to be true, that to be true, and you really said this and really did this, and that doesn't fit into what he's trying to accomplish as a free man. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, I don't know what recovering drug addicts, drug abusers go through, but you know, I think about that show Mom.
I know. Pure hell.
You know, and it has Allison Janney, and it's about former drug addicts and stuff like that, and they do their meetings and stuff, and they're supposed to make amends. That's what they call it, amends with people that they've hurt along the way. This is what the show is about.
Yeah.
And it's not like he has wronged me per se, but
he abandoned you.
It's either going one or two ways.
Yeah.
Either you used me, just like you're using everybody else in your life, because the letters that you wrote to me were ones of wanting to have a relationship with me.
Sure.
I didn't do anything wrong.
No, you didn't.
So, and he also said in one of the letters that he didn't mind if I went ahead and told people that I'm his daughter.
True.
So, and that's a conundrum, and that's an answer that I'm never going to have, and I don't really dwell on it. But that's where my anger comes from. In that, like, he blew it. It's like, you get out of prison after 45 years, and you don't want to say, look at what I have.
It's hurt. I'm assuming, I'm just saying it's hurtful.
Yeah, it is hurtful. It is.
So, I do agree that he was using her. He was just trying to have somebody to talk to, at most. Because to get out of prison and not contact your daughter, and to not hold to your word and say that, you know, you're going to be dad, regardless of how long you've been gone. You know, I wrote my daughter many letters. And my 13-year-old Arabella is my angel. She is my little angel. I can't say she's an angel in everybody's eyes, but she's my angel. And all I try to do is build and build a relationship that we never had. And all I can do is try. And sweetheart, if you're watching this, I know you know I'm trying. And all we can do is keep building.
It's disappointing too.
Yeah.
And I think just stupid. I mean,
sure, no, it's definitely stupid.
I brag about my kids all the time.
And then
all the time.
One of the things, aside from that subject, that I wanted to close on, because we're getting short on time though, is the intent. I know we've like discussed the intent behind you coming out, part of it, but like from my understanding, because you've always said to us, and you touched on it at the beginning, it's like, oh, you guys were played, this and that. We don't feel played. Whether he was playing us or not playing us, cool. It doesn't mean that the end result is not played. We're okay. But why we want to, for me, my intention, I think it aligns with your intention, is there's a lot of people out there that have found a lot of inspiration and hope in his 2 interviews, and then they were really let down, and then we had the third interview.
That's why I'm here.
And then, exactly, and now here's the 4th interview to complete the picture. Now, we don't want to dig further into this. The only way I could ever see us digging further into this is if he's released and he wants to do another episode, and we'll consider doing that if it makes sense. It may or may not make sense, but the most important thing is that you finish. Are there things in closing that you feel like you haven't touched on for these people to understand? Things that stuck out in those?
First of all, fangirls, you were played. You fed into his BS. You believed him. But you did it and were played simply because the only thing you care about is the views. Which, hey, you know what? You're making a living. I respect that. But seek the truth. Call some people out on what. If you feel it's BS and it smells like BS, it must be BS. It just the way it is. If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's going to be a duck. You're not going to find a squirrel. But you just found a chump. And didn't even have the courage to expose him. You just listened to the BS, and you could have definitely gained some more respect from a lot of people had you just called them on some BS.
Interviews, and based on what's transpired since those interviews, that you feel that people should have more context for to give them the full picture.
I don't believe that Michael is the true picture or true form of redemption. I don't believe that at all. And that's why I said you were played.
Yeah.
But you just touched on something that was even more important. They were played. All of your viewers were played into believing that here's this man that has, you know, like me sitting here telling my story.
Yeah.
But I proved my story.
Sure.
I gave you the evidence.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no question about it. I mean, It's there. And that's what was important to me, to meet with you two, so that anybody can come back and say what they want.
Yeah, and they will.
And they will. That's fine. I have zero social media. Zero.
Yeah, I have the social media. I look through it.
I don't really give a damn.
I get a kick out of it.
But that's what angered me the most, is because you do have people out there that are feeling that, it's pointless, I'm never going to make it, or they relapse, or they go back into jail, just like Michael did.
Yeah.
So don't look at Michael as a role model for redemption. Don't. Just don't.
Because you sure didn't.
No, hell no.
And you changed. Or you didn't turn into a statistic.
And I agree with that. Don't look at that man as anybody positive. Look at that man as a chump. Look at that man as a scumbag. Look at that man as the white trash piece of shit he is. Although he was a sperm donor and created this wonderful, wonderful lady right here who has the evidence. I mean, these guys didn't fact check nothing. They just let any Joe Schmo get on there and tell their story. Didn't fact check nothing. I'll tell you one thing. I ever had the opportunity to be interviewed, I'm going to show up with my paperwork. It's going to show you. I didn't tell on nobody. I'm not lying about nothing. Got 10 years for a $20 bag of dope. A 10-year sentence for middlemaning a $20 bag of dope. All I'm saying is fact check some things, guys. Stop being fangirls.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, no, I did not. I didn't turn into a statistic.
So just because it wasn't him...
I so easily could have.
Yeah, you so easily could have. And that's an important distinction coming from his daughter, because you didn't see his episode as a way to find hope and redemption, which we hope they did. That's what we're here for. People come for the true crime and they stay for the hope and redemption or whatever.
His hope and redemption? Me.
You.
Because, look at me. That's my point. Look at me. I mean... His ass is sitting down in jail.
Do you think if he's freed and cleared of these charges, he could ever find redemption? Do you ever think that he could? Because he has good... I believe he has good qualities to him. I'll say it. You may disagree. It's fine.
No, he does have good qualities to him.
And I think he has a lot of redeeming qualities. But do you think he could... If he is indeed this person that is guilty of these murders and he did defraud these people, whatever, that in the time he has left on this earth, he can do something to actually genuinely change? Is that possible? And would your heart be open to him ever making amends to you? If that possibility came, or is this it for you?
No, this is it for me.
Truly?
Truly, yeah. I mean, I knew coming into this and coming forward publicly for the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be 51 here soon, okay?
Sure.
So, I had a long time.
Yes, you did.
25 years, and I never wanted to do anything that possibly could have jeopardized any kind of relationship I could have had with him. And the relationship that I had with him.
Yeah.
And, he was the one that was the captain of this ship, not me. So, as far as I'm concerned...
So what would you do if you received a letter from him or a call from him? Would you just trash it, or would you respond to it?
Yeah, I'd probably trash it and say you can go fuck yourself.
You can go fuck yourself. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't fault you for that. I just want to understand. And for other people to understand, this is your feeling. You have an actual connection to him, as you said, the blood bond or the blood memory or that type of stuff. And so, is there something else you wanted to touch on before we close out?
Real quick, I'm sure some of his the Thompson family is going to be upset that I came forward, being that I'm so new to the family.
Yeah, what do you have to say to them?
I don't give a damn.
Okay.
I don't know you shit.
Okay. Yeah. She doesn't know you shit, I guess.
I don't.
Yeah.
I mean...
I don't.
Fair enough. I don't know. They might talk shit to me. She doesn't know you shit, man.
Fair enough. I just wanted to say in closing that, I appreciate you, your honesty, your forthcoming.
Why does he look so worried about the Thompson family talking shit? Oh, they might talk shit to me. Stop being a fangirl. You just got somebody real on your podcast that exposed some real truth. Stop being a fangirl. Stop being scared. You scared, go to church. For real.
I mean, there was...
I have nothing to gain.
I know. I'm just saying, like, you can't... You presented everything for our... Just so that we could verify and check and all of that. But I just want to say that I, commend you and everything that you've been through and everything that you have today and have created. And, I'm grateful that we met, and hopefully we have a friendship moving forward. And if there's anything that me or Mason can ever do for you, please.
I appreciate that.
Keep your family, in our prayers.
Thank you. But I would like to say to the two of you that, and to your listeners, and and your viewers, that if you really want a true example of what redemption is like, it's you two.
Thank you.
And that's what I want to preserve. I don't pay attention to my book. You don't even have to listen to my story. You don't. But what you're trying to do is good, and that's one of the causations for my coming forward.
Thank you.
And I think you guys are doing a really good job, and I will be following you probably on the internet.
Yeah, it's social media. It's okay. You could create social media just to follow us and share with your people.
But, like Michael says, and I've always said it, it's none of my business what you think of me.
Yeah.
So I really don't care. And hopefully my story will help some people, and maybe we'll shed a different light on the perspective of where Michael was coming from.
Sure.
But again, I don't think that he's a man of redemption. He's not a man that I would follow as an example. Yes, I believe he is a murderer, and yes, I still think he's part of the AB.
Pretty heavy, but
all right, so that's the end of part 4. It's the end of the reaction to the Pinocchio's daughters spilling the truth. Let me know what you guys think. But again, I want to touch on, I do not believe he's an AB member anymore. Covering up that tattoo is either forced or it's a sin. I mean, bottom line, if you cover up something that you're still a part of, you're not gonna enjoy the result of that. 2, the testifying against fellow brothers. No. He didn't just tell on people and get away with it. He couldn't have told on a black person and gotten away with it. It's dealt with within. But, I mean, this woman's got a wonderful take on life. She's got a wonderful attitude, and she's done wonderful for herself. And I commend you. Now, I don't know a lot about the Damage Done podcast or the gentleman hosting it. But, if they've redeemed themselves and found redemption, more power to them. I just want to say you can't always feed into everybody's story, because 90% of the time there's an ulterior motive. And you found one of that 10%, maybe less, to do so. But never forget life's choices. And hey, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that channel if you want to help out. And always remember, if they ain't hating it, you ain't making it. Peace.